And I mean, we'll talk about another team in the West in a little bit, but let's kind of move into the East for a little bit. The Toronto Raptors, Dave, has not been a season to remember on a start for the Raptors where they have played the Pelicans and lost. They have played the Spurs and lost. Last night they played the 76ers and lost, even after Joel Embiid left the game with an injury and then came back with said injury.
Well, it doesn't help when C-Scam decides to commit 5 fouls in about 6 minutes to end the game. Like, what the shit was that string?
I was going to ask you, if you were a Toronto Raptor fan, 0, 5, 10, like not even in between, just any of those, a lot, a little, none at all, how worried are you after 3 games of this season?
Probably like a 4.
Okay.
Probably maybe even a 5. Like, look, positive takeaways. OG Anunoby had a good game offensively. We saw him string together something last game. Like, he popped off early. The problem was it felt like they didn't continue to feed him. I feel like the momentum of the offense sometimes gets lost out there. So without, having stability on their offense, you see dips as far as their scoring is concerned. Again, I mentioned Pascal and the string of fouls he committed there, which was just like watching it happen was just kind of like, the first one happened, it was like, yeah, normal foul. But like the next one, and then he fouls out, and you're like, what's going on. Like, he's just frustrated. He got into his own head. Yeah. It was like a string of dumb that got dumber. Dumb and dumber. But
I'm on the other side. I'm worried. I'm above a 5.
You're real worried?
I'm not at a 10, but like maybe at a 6. And like, yet again, 3 games. We've said it's early season, so you got to keep telling yourself that.
But like, overreact, baby.
The thing that worries me is you played 3 playoff teams, potential playoff teams, where the Pelicans are in the race. The Spurs will probably be out of it, but hell, they'll probably even be in the race.
Right now, DeMar DeRozan's playing some inspired fucking basketball, boys.
And then
Let's get on this.
The 76ers, who could be one of the top 4 teams in the East, but it'll probably be maybe 5 or 6 at the lowest. I'm worried because their schedule doesn't get any easier. Like, the next game, if you lose the next game, hit the fucking panic button, you're at a 10. If you lose to the Knicks and let Julius Randle get a trip dub on you, hit the panic button.
Cycles.
Like, the Knicks should be a winnable game, but like after that, the Pelicans again, who could be tough. The Celtics, who could be tough. The Suns are a tough team. Sacramento's playing well. And then it's Golden State, which that one, with how Golden State's been playing right now, if the Bulls could almost beat the Warriors, the Raptors should
the game we almost beat.
The game we almost beat the Warriors. Like, and even after that, Portland, but then you had 2 Charlotte, and then after that, it's Dallas, Miami, Indiana, Milwaukee. The problem with this season, too, which we didn't hit yesterday a lot with these teams, is I feel like the teams that catch fire now, it's going to be way more advantageous for them this year than it would if we had a full 82-game season.
Well, you lopped off 10 games from the season, so every game counts kind of meaning,
Yeah, it's like, how many of these teams that we expected to start hot that are slow? Washington is also in there. We thought Bradley Beal would, like, if anyone said Bradley Beal and Russ would be 0-4 to start the season,
did not see that coming.
I'd be like, oh, maybe 2-2 at the worst. Like, how many of these teams that don't have a win yet are going to be like, hey, eventually, when does it start to be a panic something? Because, like you said, we lopped 10 games off the season.
Yeah. I mean, the playoff race is going to literally come down to 1 game, like as far as like to make it in. And I think the difference between a lot of those positions is going to be 1 game. So this is not one of those years where like, oh, it was a bad loss in November, December, whatever, just shake it off. I think it's like, this is still, okay, I'm going to get into the meat and bones.
Go ahead.
This is still the conversation we ended last season with.
Yeah.
Pascal Siakam is not number 1.
Yep.
I'll say it. I'll say it again.
I was going to say, how the season ended last year, you were talking about dumb mistake after dumb mistake after dumb mistake.
Last night.
Is that still in his head? Like, did how last season ended, since there was basically no off season, it was the shortest off season probably for the Raptors in X amount of years because they made it to the playoffs and were in the playoffs, that it was kind of like
the year before it was the better year because they made the finals and won the finals.
Well, but it was like an actual regular offseason. Like this one, If you made the playoffs, you didn't get a regular offseason length to where usually guys for some part of it are like, I got to get away. This offseason was basically like for some of the playoff teams, all right, I got to go right back to the gym because the season's starting in December. Like, was there no way for Siakam basically to be like, I got to get away for a bit so I can get this out of my head? And this is just compounding off of how last season ended.
Yeah, I mean, it probably is a little tougher for them, though, but it's not like they lost in like a tragic fashion or anything. You know, it wasn't, you know, the 4 bounces of doom.
Yeah, it was just they expected him to be the guy and he's not.
You know?
Yeah. 4 bounces of doom.
But I do think that, like, again, we've all been heaping this praise onto this team who has great player development, and we want to elevate, you know, OG, Pascal, Fred, and even like Norm Powell, Terrence Davis, like those kind of guys. Hey, they've done Chris Boucher, like Boucher. I refuse to pronounce his name correctly once. Rick Bucher out there for the Toronto Raptors.
God, someone in the Discord said this is a fantasy thing that they hope that the Raptors would play Chris Boucher more.
I mean, they should. They really should. Stanley Johnson shouldn't get minutes. I agreed with them on that one.
Yeah,
he's a rehab project.
That's what it was. It was over Stan John.
Yeah.
That's who it was.
Yeah, they don't play the same position, so that's kind of a dumb comment, though.
Yeah,
but you know, is what it is. Point is, love their player development. Fred VanVleet looks decent. You know, everybody's looking okay, but it's just dumb mistakes, turnovers, and I think it's just Pascal Siakam. Like, he's getting a lot of run, but it doesn't seem to be translating. I want, you know, we all thought he was going to be basically where he left off being the solo guy when Kawhi was off the court. He was putting up like 23 a night, like 23, I think 7 and 4 or 7 and 3, some shit like that. Might have more rebounds even. I'm not looking at stats right now because, you know, looking at stats means you don't watch the game, as we all know.
Oh, dude, you can't look at stats at all. Can't look at stats at all.
But the problem is that, like, they're not good enough to win when they don't have someone to rely on. Like, they're overall a very well balanced team.
Yeah.
But they lost massive amounts of defense without Gasol, without Ibaka out there. Yeah. They didn't recover. They added Baines. Bainesy isn't anywhere near the caliber of defender that Ibaka or Gasol is. Maybe he doesn't move the offense the same way that that Gasol can, where we see Gasol being able to facilitate out of the post well.
Yeah.
Run the offense, call plays and sets, trailing threes, very big part of the game. Baines can at least do that. I love Baines for the trailing three, but like, there's a lot of things that they have to adjust to because they lost big man depth and leadership on this team. Kyle Lowry's still the leader of this team. He's still the man, but they need help from other guys, and they have not had those young kids step up yet. And that's the problem. You know, I think they're not in trouble of losing out on a playoff spot, but I think they're in trouble of losing out on, again, home field doesn't really matter because they're playing in Tampa Bay.
Well, I mean, not even but that.
It's just still the travel. You know?
Yeah, having a higher seed of like, for example, like I know that home court for the Raptors might not make the most sense because they're playing in Tampa, but it's still the sense of, yet again, in the playoffs, we don't know if like how the league is. From what I heard last, the league is hoping that enough vaccines are out there that by playoff time we could have fans in seats.
There's
4 games. There is a chance, but like we don't know what's going to happen. Yeah, especially in Florida, they don't care if it's lambs to the slaughter or anything like that. God, even aside, even McAfee was like, "Should we move to Texas so that we can go out and like do stuff, and not be here in Indiana?" It's
the Bills are allowing fans in for the playoff game.
They are.
I think just shy of like 10,000. I think for the
NFL's got to make that money somehow, right?
Yep.
Like that's the thing where by playoff time, the only thing like home court might not matter for the Raptors being at home because they're not at home. But at the same time, if you have a 7-game series and 4 of them are not in Boston, might be a good thing. Where only 3 of them are away. If there's fans actually in seats by the playoffs, but we don't know.